Okay, today we are going to make smoked turkey. We're actually going to start as much as a week before we're actually going to make the turkeys, because if you have a frozen turkey, it's going to take about 3 or 4 days for it to thaw in the fridge, and then we're going to brine it. So for our brine, I already have measured out all of my sugar and spices, and I'm doing 2 turkeys, so I'm doubling the recipe, but I'll have everything listed below. I'm going to add my water, and we're not going to bring this up to a boil. All I'm really looking to do is to melt and dissolve all the sugar and the salt and let the kind of flavors from everything start to meld and mix together. So I'm going to get this on the stove, and while this is dissolving, I'm going to prep our turkeys. So we'll put this on the stove. And we don't want to have it on so high that it's going to like scorch and burn. So I'll just come over every now and then as I'm working with turkeys and stir it. And while that's going on, I will prep our turkeys. So we're going to do all the stuff we regularly do with a turkey. If you want your skin to crisp up nicely, one thing you're going to want to do is remove any little pockets of fat in there that you see around there, so that it can get nice and dried up. Also, that's why I have this one there for stills. I am going to remove any little pop-up timers, any giblets, anything like that that I see in there that I do not want to eat. So, all of this, you can use as fishing bait. I don't think I'm going to use it today. We're going to pull that out. Pop-up timer. I don't want to smoke that. That's coming out. And our giblet bag, that's coming out. You can see right here, it's a little bit of fat, some extra skin. We're just going to trim it all up. We're going to get it ready. And then when this is ready and this is dissolved, we're going to cool our brine. I'll show you that, and we will put it in the cooler to brine. Okay, so I have the turkeys trimmed, removed anything from the inside, pulled any pin feathers. Our brine is dissolved. All of the stuff in there is dissolved, all of our sugar, all of our salt. It smells amazing. So we want to cool it off. We won't put hot brine on our chicken. So I use ice. I use half the water and the rest ice. So we'll have the ice. That's going to cool our brine off nice and quickly, and allow us to pour it in right away. So I want it to not overfill it. I'll put the rest of the ice in here. And one thing I like to do for convenience is, in order to keep the cooler clean, I get one of these really great big Ziploc bags. I can put the bag into the cooler, put the turkeys in there, pour the brine in, keeps the cooler clean. So if you don't have a brining bucket, that's definitely an easier way to go. And the benefit of doing it in the bag and in the cooler is you save space in your fridge when you're already loading it up with stuff at Thanksgiving. So we'll put our turkeys in. Plenty of ice in here. I can feel the brine is nice and cooled off now. I'm not burning my hand. And we'll go ahead and pour it. If I can figure out how to do this. And there we go. We'll get this sealed up. I'll put another bag of ice on top of it, and that'll help keep it cool. And that way we can keep it out. This will get nice and brine. We'll leave it in here 24 hours. After 24 hours, we'll pull it out, we'll let the skin dry, leaving it uncovered in the fridge, and then we'll be ready to smoke this thing. Okay, that's zipped up and sealed. Turkeys are taking a nice flavor bath. Add a bag of ice on top. And we'll grab it. Okay, it's been about 24 hours. No, actually it's been 22 hours, but I don't want to be up as late as I was last night. So we can pull our turkey out of the brine and want to dry it off. You're going to want to dry it off because we want our skin to be really dry when we put it on the smoker. That's going to help the skin to crisp up. If you've ever had kind of rubbery skin and you can't seem to get it all nice and crisp, that's probably why the skin isn't dry. So I'm going to help it out by drying off as much water as I can. In the brine, we're going to wipe it down. I'm going to do one that's whole. I'm going to do one that I will spatchcock. And the whole chicken, that's the chicken. The whole turkey, that's one that's good to put on the table because we're looking for more of a centerpiece. The spatchcocked one, it'll actually cook more evenly because if you can kind of see, you're trying to heat up the back and the breast at the same time. So it'll take about 2.5 hours longer to cook a whole bird versus a spatchcocked one, and the legs will get done faster than the breast. So if you spatchcock it, it'll all get done at the same time. You're going to hit your target of 165 closer to the same time. So let's get this one spatchcocked. Okay. And this one's ready too. So as you can see, if you're going to put it on the table as kind of a presentation centerpiece, this is definitely going to look better. This is much flatter and this is going to cook a lot faster and a lot easier because we're more even, we have an even thickness. So I'll put these in the refrigerator. I'll let it sit for a day and a half, 2 days tops, and then we will smoke these. Okay. Well, the time has finally come. We've done our work. We've thawed our chicken. We've brined it. We've let the skin dry. You can see the skin looks much more dry. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to get some moisture into here. So what I have in here, it's not my coffee. It's actually a stick of butter and half a cup of water. The reason for that is we want to get some moisture in here because the breast can kind of dry out. We're also going to put a little bit in the legs and thighs. But this is actually about 120 degrees. Give or take 10 degrees. What I've found is if I use warm injection and I inject it into here deep inside the deeper muscles, we get it up to temperature faster and it cooks faster and it cooks more evenly. So let's get to injecting. If you've never injected before, what you want to do is you want to start in kind of one hole and go about as deep as the needle will go, and we're going to inject, inject, inject. We're going to move all from that one hole so we don't have a whole bunch of holes in here that our injection can leak out of later. And you can see the muscle tissue plumping up. And we know we got enough when it kind of squirts out like that. So we're going to get this injected up. Then we're going to put it on the smoker. And I found, if you're wondering about the size of this, why it's not the massive bird, I found that my ideal size is right around the 12 to 16 pound turkey mark. You can go 10, you can probably go a little bit higher. But smoking a turkey, if you want it to cook through evenly, I found that's kind of my ideal size for putting on the smoker. So if I'm trying to feed more people, I just do more turkeys. Okay, so this is a 2-ounce injector. I normally do at least 2 ounces in the breast, and I'll do 2 ounces between the both thighs, and the rest of it, I just kind of inject anywhere I think is probably missing it and needs it. So let's get a little bit into the leg, and we're gonna get a little bit into the thigh, and just kind of work around, making sure that you kind of get all around in there. Okay, we used up all of our injection. Now what we wanna do is, again, we're gonna dry this off. And we're just trying to get an even coat of oil on there in reality. So that's dried off. Now, if you've ever made a chicharron on yourself, what you do is you have dry skin that's completely dry, and then you fry it in oil. We're gonna kind of do the same thing in a way. So with this dried off, I'm gonna spray it with some cooking spray. And then I'm gonna put my seasoning on it. The cooking spray is gonna help the seasoning to stick. It's also gonna help the skin to crisp up. So I like to kind of put my hand in the middle of the turkey because it's easier to hold it. Now we're going to put our rub on. I want to get everything on there real nice. Nice even coating of rub. Then we'll be ready for the smoker. And if you're wondering why I'm not doing the other turkey we did right now, the spatchcocked one, will take an hour and a half or 2 hours less. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one on. Then I'm going to put the one we spatchcocked on later. And hopefully they'll be done at the same time. Okay. It's got some great coloring, it's looking good. With my hand in the middle, I can avoid touching any of the rub, and the top will look perfect. So let's get this on there. And the temperature I'm looking for is about 275 to 300 degrees, and I'm going to smoke it with apple wood. I've tried a lot of different woods, and I found my favorite by far is apple. Just the flavor it gives to it, nothing like it. So we will actually get a chance to peek at this in an hour and a half when I put on the other turkey, and we'll see you then. Okay, it's been about an hour and a half. And we're going to inject this turkey and get it on. This is the one that we spatchcocked. So it should take about an hour and a half, 2 hours less time. And we're going to inject it the exact same way as we did the other turkey. So let's get to injecting. All right. We have our turkey injected. We have it sprayed. We put on our seasoning. Now we're going to flip it over. And I'm going to spray this side. Remember, the spraying is just to help the skin to crisp up more and make our seasoning stick. I'll spray that a little more. So we're going to season this, and then we're going to put it on the smoker. And one thing you want to do is any part that you're worried about not getting done, or it's going to take longer to cook than the other, you want to put closer to your heat source. So the vent for mine is in the back, so I put the thickest part of the breast towards the back, and that way it has the best chance of getting cooked and getting even at the same time. So we'll get this seasoned up, and then we'll get it on. And the spatchcock turkey is a little harder to put on. I can't quite put my hand in the middle of it, so you just kind of have to, as best as you can, manhandle it in there and not ruin any of your seasoning on the top. So let's get that in there. And we can also peek at our other turkey. Ooh, that's looking good. You can see the color on that's already starting to come out. That'd be all that paprika in our rub. So I'm going to try to carefully get underneath this. I'm going to get it in there. We're going to arrange the legs kind of off to the side. We want it to be as flat as possible and even as possible across there. If we missed any seasoning, we can just sneak in here and add it in at this time. And now, I'm gonna let this go, and I'll probably check it maybe 3.5 hours, because it's probably gonna take 4 hours. And again, we're shooting for a temperature in the breast or the thigh. I wanna see about 165. When it's at 165, as a minimum, I'm going to pull it, and we're going to let it rest at least 30 minutes, and don't worry about it sitting on the counter that long, because it'll stay plenty safe. It's going to be very hot, probably too hot to touch as we slice it. Okay, our turkeys have been in for 3.5 hours for the bottom one, 5 hours for the top, so let's give it a quick check. We will see how we're doing on temperature. And we're looking for 165. So, those are looking beautiful. Almost there. Our spatchcock one is 162. And our turkey on the top, we are there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that one and give the one on the bottom probably another 30 minutes. Here we are. We'll get this in. Like I said, we're going to leave this uncovered just to rest. Then we'll try it. Okay, both turkeys are done and they have rested. This one's rested about 45 minutes. So let's go ahead and cut into it. And I got my buddy and taste tester here with me. So let's try this and see how we did. You can see the juice just rolling out of that. Good sign.
It's like a pond inside.
It is like a pond inside. He's looking over on this side and there's just piles of juice in there. And we can see the juice running out over there. So, this is still warm. So you can see even resting for 45 minutes, your turkey is still going to be plenty warm and you don't have to worry about it getting cold on you. This will be a little hot, buddy.
Okay.
Good try. It's good and hot. And our skin, still nice and crispy. So, that's how we make smoked turkey.